Welcome to Scientific Death.
In 1970, aerospace engineering programs were fixated on the theoretical limits of chemical propulsion. The objective was to achieve maximum possible thrust through high-yield propellant combinations. The most promising of these involved the direct, controlled combustion of pure gaseous hydrogen and high-pressure fluorine gas inside an experimental thrust chamber. This chamber was designed to operate at an internal pressure of 1200 psi. To keep the hydrogen and fluorine contained, the manifold walls had to withstand massive, constant outward force. At these extreme pressures, the structural integrity of the metal depends on absolute precision. Even an atomic-scale mechanical imperfection becomes a potential point of catastrophic failure under the load. The quest for ultimate propulsion power created a testing environment with zero margin for error. The system was now performing at its physical limit, where any deviation from nominal conditions could compromise the entire vessel. During an automated ignition test sequence, a violent, high-frequency acoustic vibration suddenly echoed through the internal combustion manifold. This continuous acoustic stress localized on a specific structural vulnerability, a single, unlined Monel weld seam that was never designed to handle those specific frequencies. This diagram illustrates the result. A microscopic fatigue micro-fissure fractured across the metal joint, creating a path for the pressurized gas to escape. The 1200 psi gas stream immediately exploited the breach, violently shearing through the weakened fitting and tearing the containment manifold wide open. This wasn't a standard pressure leak. It was a total structural collapse that released the most reactive chemicals in rocketry directly into the test facility. The reaction was driven by fluorine's electronegativity. At 3.98, it is the most powerful oxidizing element on the periodic table, making it aggressively reactive with almost any substance. This results in true hypergolic autoignition. Hydrogen and fluorine require no spark or heat source to ignite. They spontaneously combust the instant they touch, even at cryogenic temperatures. The energy release is staggering. This reaction produces a massive enthalpy of negative 546 kilojoules per mole, generating a flame that reaches 4,000 degrees Celsius. The escaping thermal jet instantly vaporized the surrounding metal support struts, slicing straight through a heavily reinforced containment wall. A microscopic flaw in a single weld had birthed a thermochemical anomaly capable of instantly vaporizing the strongest industrial alloys on Earth. Beyond the breached wall, an engineer was struck by an expanding cloud of hydrogen fluoride gas. As it reacts with moisture in the air, it forms a superheated anhydrous hydrofluoric acid. HF molecules possess a unique biological stealth mechanism. They pass effortlessly through dermal layers without causing immediate surface pain, allowing the acid to penetrate deep into muscle tissue. Once inside the bloodstream, free fluoride ions aggressively bind to calcium and magnesium. They form insoluble salts, effectively stripping the blood of the electrolytes required for life. This massive systemic hypocalcemia halts cellular nerve signaling. The heart loses the ability to regulate its own rhythm, leading to sudden, intractable ventricular fibrillation. The failure of the manifold effectively turned the lab into a site of localized chemical warfare, leveraging the engineer's own skeletal biology against them to cause immediate biological death. The 1970 disaster proved that pure fluorine was too dangerous for operational use. The risks of containment failure far outweighed the potential gains in thrust. Aerospace programs permanently abandoned fluorine as a practical oxidizer, transitioning instead to safer, more stable alternatives, like the liquid oxygen seen here at this ULA launch site. For research facilities that still handle the element, a strict passivation process is now mandatory. Metals are slowly exposed to low-concentration fluorine to build an unreactive fluoride barrier layer before operating under pressure. Facilities must also maintain calcium gluconate antidote stations. If an operator is exposed, this gel provides an external supply of calcium for the fluoride to bind with, stopping it from stripping minerals from the human heart. The catastrophe of 1970 remains a definitive lesson in aerospace history. While we can conquer the vacuum of space, certain elemental forces are simply too hostile to be tamed.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a giant thumbs up and hit that big subscribe button. Be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. See you in the next one.